So look, today we're going to be covering the truth of what is actually going on with these designer factories manufacturing in China, and these guys that are coming out on TikTok claiming that they're workers insiders for this factory and they can get your stuff for much cheaper, and they're revealing the truth of what all these brands are doing. And look, I've sold close to $2.5 million in designer goods, with the majority of that being footwear. All authentic designer goods, by the way. And it's funny because just a few years earlier, when I was about 12 years old, I started buying and selling. And I used to go to this place in Manchester called Cheetum Hill. Now, Cheetum Hill has fake designer goods, right? And it's basically like an illegal operation, and there's loads of shops down this street right next to Manchester Prison. And these shops have scouts, and they stand outside as lookouts for the police. Then when you walk into the shop, they lock the door behind you in case anyone comes in, right? And they basically have from the ceiling all the way to the floor fake designer stuff. Now, you might be thinking, why would I be there as a 12-year-old kid? And if I'm being honest with you, I don't even know how I used to get there. I used to buy Gucci hats and Hermes belts and sell them on this platform called Gumtree. And I used to go meet grown men in car parks with selling the fake hats and belts, right? Side hustle for you right there. Anyway, I want to make one thing very clear, right? I've never sold anything as legit if it's not. This is just some little hustle I did as a broke kid, and something I did for a very short amount of time. So look, I've got a lot of insider information because I've bought from all types of places. I've been scammed for close to £10,000 before. I've had times when I've bought fake stuff and not been able to sell it and lost money on it. I've also got a lot of real stuff from a lot of good places. I've gone to invite-only big brand sample sales, and I'll show you a video of that right here. And I've spent a lot of money on this stuff, and I've sold a lot of it as well. And there's a few truths. I know everyone's losing their mind thinking they're getting scammed, and this is like designer brands being exposed, but everyone's missing the real story here. So let's take a look at what's happening. So what you're going to see is, you're seeing all these factory workers, right? And they are factory workers, okay? And they're exposing that these designer brands are getting made in China. Now, the truth of the matter is, a lot of designer stuff gets made in China. And yeah, it does get mostly assembled in China, and they get sent to places like France and Italy, and then says made in France and made in Italy. You can say you like that or you dislike that, but at the end of the day, China produces some of the top quality stuff on this planet. And the highest of highest luxury can be made in China. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what people are seeming to not understand, right? But what you have in China is you have different copyright laws when it comes to producing designer stuff. Now, the reason why this is important is because it means that you get a lot of smaller level factories that actually pop up and start designing stuff. Now, what you have is, you have people that work for real factories, right? Such as Nike, Adidas, LV, Goyard, whatever, right? Now, those same factory workers will then go and operate machinery, sometimes actually old machinery from the authentic factory, and then they will sell it unauthorized. You'll hear unauthorized authentics some places, but it basically means fake. But let's be real, right? The top designer brands, they have a stronghold on this. They're not allowing this to happen, but this is just something that does happen. Now, whether you think that's legit or not, sometimes it's real material made on authentic machinery, but it's fake, right? And at the end of the day, you cannot sell anything as real unless it's come directly from that brand. But look, independent resellers of these fake goods, this is nothing new. I've seen this time and time again. Now, the reason they're doing this is because they can create that product for, let's take this shoe for example. How much do you think the cost price to make this is? Probably around $10 to $15, right? But people are missing where the value of this, the reason why this is a £300, £400 shoe, is because of the brand image. Now, this is what the designer brands do differently. I know people lose their mind when they find out the production price of a product, because they think that, well, oh, if Nike sell it for $9 and I'm buying it for $200, that's a scam. But what they don't understand is, the machinery costs hundreds of thousands, millions to make. The patents, the designer, and all the money that goes into the brand image. This is what these brands do at the highest level. Louis Vuitton sells for so much because it's a status symbol, and they put all the money that they make back in, not all of it, right? But they put a lot of the money back in to increase the brand image. Now, they do this because they increase the perceived value. Now, you might be thinking, why am I talking about this on an e-commerce channel? Because that is one of the main principles in e-commerce, perceived value. Look at luxury brands and study what they're doing and how they make the perceived value of their brand and their products at a much higher level, because when you can alter the perceived value with stuff like brand campaigns, with stuff like celebrity endorsements, with stuff like pricing and quality, you can actually make your brand fit a certain character and you can charge a much higher price for it. Now this is one of the basic fundamentals in e-commerce, and when you study bigger brands and how they do this, it gives you a better understanding on 1, how they do it, 2, how they get away with it, and 3, how you can actually apply it to your brand. So if you want to start selling the exact same product for much more money, increase the perceived value. You can do this without the product costing you any more, right? That's the magic of brand, and that's what these guys are doing. Look, I'll just give you a quick reality check, yeah? This guy that's claiming he works in a certain factory on TikTok, it's bullshit, right? He's got some fake goods. He's taking advantage of the tariff situation. He's putting it as an expose so people feel like they can get a discount by buying from him. These are independent people in independent factories, and that's the stuff that they're selling online. This is nothing new. It's not just come around. This has been going for months and months and months. And if you look on your Instagram DMs right now, you probably have those same factories reaching out to you. So look, you're not missing out. You can't get a Louis Vuitton bag for $50. I'm sorry to break it to you, right? But that's just not how the game works. So yeah, that's all for today.